The lasting appeal of survival games is simple to understand. Fighting to stay alive is hard-coded into our DNA, so it's easy to see why we'd become engrossed in experiencing it in games. The best survival games on PC push players to their limits, presenting them with tough problems and challenging them to find creative solutions. Beyond just a simple health bar, in survival games, players need to manage their well-being when it comes to elements like hunger, thirst, extreme temperatures, disease, and other threats. Exploring, gathering resources, crafting tools and gear, building shelters and hunting, fishing, cooking and farming are other common features in survival games. And some survival games aren't just about taking care of yourself, but guiding a colony or settlement safely through extreme circumstances by managing resources, passing laws, and solving societal problems. In such a popular genre, which games provide the best survival experiences? Below you'll find our favourite examples of simulated survival on PC, whether it's among the stars, deep underground, and in other dangerous environments packed with monsters, mutants, zombies, dinosaurs, or the deadliest enemy of all other players. Here are the best survival games on PC. We knew this Pokemon with Guns game would draw a crowd, but we didn't expect it to become the mega hit of 2024. The mixture of survival and collectible creatures drew millions of players overnight, and you know what? It's fun. Build a base, add to your creature collection by battling monsters, make them work for you, cook and eat them. There's lots of stuff you can do, not all of it savoury. After picking through the wreckage of the plane crash that stranded you here, you'll quickly discover you're not alone. You share a mysterious island with a tribe of terrifying cannibals, and while you struggle to stay fed and hydrated, build structures from simple tents to log homes, and construct traps to snare animals, you'll have to defend against the hungry and determined locals. Best of all, you've got an AI-controlled pal, Kelvin, to help you out. It didn't take long for early access co-op Viking survival game to draw a crowd, and it's easy to see why. A massive procedurally generated world, fearsome boss fights, and excellent base building systems mesh wonderfully with survival elements like cooking and crafting. Solo play is great, but it really shines in co-op, and players can busy themselves with base construction or set out on perilous journeys across the sea to find dangerous new continents. Explore an alien underwater world while piloting your handcrafted submarine through mysterious submerged landscapes. From beautiful coral reefs to deep-sea caves and trenches, you'll gather resources and sustenance, build habitats and a fleet of subs, and craft new tech to help you survive the depths. It's hard not to compare it to Minecraft, yet developer Unknown Worlds has put their own unique stamp on the survival genre. If you're looking deep and complex survival systems in a massive sandbox sim, there's only one game that truly fits the bill. There's a big learning curve in this zombie survival game, but once you've got a handle on how the various systems work, you'll find an unending and engrossing challenge in the harsh, post-apocalyptic world. Loot buildings, craft gear, farm and fish, fight zombies, or better yet, avoid them, and struggle with everything from injuries to disease to boredom to how much noise you make while moving around. This is a brilliant zombie survival simulation like nothing else out there. Obsidian shrunk you down and dropped you in a normal backyard, but due to your size it might as well be a jungle. Surrounded by killer spiders, hungry birds and annoying ants, you can build a base by chopping down blades of grass and forage for food and drink by roasting aphids and collecting drops of dew. It's a beautiful and somewhat wondrous environment from the perspective of someone the size of a bug. FrostPunk is a blend of city building, society simulation and survival in a grim and frozen world. With a handful of cold, hungry, unhappy people, you'll need to construct a working city inside a snow-filled crater heated only by a massive coal furnace. Gather resources, hunt for food, and manage your citizens by giving them hope for the future. It's a harsh and beautiful survival game that confronts you with difficult choices at every turn. A novel survival game where nearly all the survival systems are contained within a station wagon from the 1980s. Drive through a world filled with horrible anomalies, gather resources and use them to soup up your car with sci-fi gadgets and drive even further the next time. It's different than just about any other survival game out there, though it's pretty darn punishing too. Escape from Tarkov is a savage evolution of survival games with just a pinch of battle royale thrown in for flavour. Instead of playing in a persistent world, you spawn on a map with a few other players and several dozen enemy NPCs. To survive, you have to reach an exfiltration zone on the other end of the map, but you also get to keep anything you loot to sell on a player-driven marketplace or use in subsequent rounds. It's a lot like poker, only way scarier. What really sells Tarkov, though, is its hyper-realistic gunplay and ridiculously deep gun customization. It's been 5 years of early access, but Rimworld has finally reached version 1.0. In this management and survival sim, you oversee a colony of randomly generated people stranded on a procedural alien planet. Expand the base, keep your colonists healthy and sane, and deal with disasters thrown your way by Rimworld's AI director, which can include anything from disease outbreaks to alien attacks to weather events. The toughest challenge may be just making your colonists simply get along with each other. Each one has a distinct personality, desires, and moods. It sounds almost idyllic, floating through the world serenely on a raft, building and expanding upon it as you fish flotsam from the ocean with a grappling hook. There are sharks, though, hungry ones, and if they can't eat you, they'll settle for eating your floating home. You'll need to somehow find food and fresh water while keeping your raft afloat and growing. Luckily, you can play co-op with a pal and double your chances for survival. With a focus on atmosphere and environmental survival, The Long Dark stands out in an increasingly crowded genre. You play as a bush pilot stranded in the frozen wilderness after a mysterious global calamity. There are no zombies, no mutants, and no other players. It's just you fighting against the elements, the wildlife, and your own human fragility. With charming artwork, yet punishing gameplay, Don't Starve is an addictive challenge and one of the best survival experiences out there. And, in a rare turn of events, one of the few games here to graduate from early access. The crafting is complex and satisfying as you attempt to survive busy days and deadly nights. Fight and eat animals, practice both science and magic, and keep an eye on your mental health so you don't go insane. The standalone expansion Don't Starve Together even lets you play with pals. Yes, it was a long road out of early access. DayZ's technically still isn't done, but the survival elements of DayZ are strong, with complex nutrition, hydration, and health systems that go beyond merely eating, drinking, and bandaging wounds. Scavenge a sprawling and decaying persistent open world. Engage in tense interactions with other players, customize weapons and craft gear, and try not to die. If you do, you start again with nothing. Join or battle other players, or attempt to go it alone, starting with primitive tools and weapons, and advancing to firearms and massive bases. You'll have to contend with wild animals, hunger and thirst, but this is a very PvP-intensive survival experience, and your main threat will come from the dozens of other players on the servers. Rust left early access in early 2018, but continues to add new features. You may have heard of it. There are many different ways to play Minecraft. Alone, in creative mode, with friends and strangers, as an explorer, or with custom game modes on specialty servers. As a survival game, it's still excellent, with well-implemented hunger and thirst systems and incredibly robust crafting and building. Dive into its blocky and beautiful world, and you may never want to leave. A wonderful, expansive, addictive, and not to mention inexpensive survival crafting sandbox. Explore randomly generated worlds, gather resources, and enjoy a simple yet satisfying crafting system. Tunnel through vast caverns, battle monsters, befriend NPCs, build yourself a palace, and play alone or with friends in co-op. Terraria has been around for years, but it stood the test of time. Depicting war, Not from the perspective of an elite soldier, but from that of a group of civilians, simply trying to stay alive amidst the chaos. This war of mine is a different and more desperate kind of survival game. You'll face tough choices as you manage your survivor's health, both physical and mental. Scrounging for food and supplies during the night is tense and harrowing, and no matter what you find, it never seems to be enough. It's not just a survival game, but a harsh and unblinking look at the reality of war. It costs you nothing to play Unturned, but this isn't some slap-together free-to-play title. Its creator, a teenager, has released scores of updates to the zombie-based survival sandbox since 2014, which makes it easy to see why it's been downloaded by millions of players since its initial release. Despite Unturned's blocky visuals, it contains deep and satisfying crafting, skill, and survival systems. Plus, there's a massive and exuberant community surrounding it. Inspired by the adventure and imagination that we love from classic science fiction, No Man's Sky presents you with a galaxy to explore, filled with unique planets and life forms and constant danger and action. In No Man's Sky, every star is the light of a distant sun, each orbited by planets filled with life, and you can go to any of them you choose. Fly smoothly from deep space to planetary surfaces with no loading screens and no limits. In this infinite procedurally generated universe, you'll discover places and creatures that no other players have seen before and perhaps never will again. The realm of Embervale is lost. In their greed for magical power, your ancestors unleashed a pestilence that consumed the world. Enshrouded is a game of survival, crafting, and action RPG combat, set within a sprawling voxel-based continent. As you journey across the mountains and deserts of an open world, you are free to choose your path and shape your destiny. Ignite the ancient power of the flame, and piece together the fragments of a story that unfolds below the surface. Experience a vampire survival action RPG adventure like no other. Awaken as a weakened vampire after centuries of slumber. Hunt for blood to regain your strength while hiding from the scorching sun to survive. Rebuild your castle and convert humans into your loyal servants in a quest to raise your vampire empire. Make allies or enemies online or play solo locally, fend off holy soldiers and wage war in a world of conflict. Seize your destiny, defy Dracula, rule the night. Now, with native gamepad support and a reimagined interface, prepare for action-packed, hands-on gameplay.